Say hi to everybody. It is a nice, pleasant Sunday morning, and I'm gonna tell you what I was. I wanted to get everybody's take on if you saw that really interesting situation that took place with Nate Robinson, who is a really good. He was a really great basketball player. I mean, he's still a really great basketball player, and Nate Robinson took on a YouTube guy by the name of Jake Paul, and Jake Paul whooped his ass. It was real. It was real crazy to watch. Almost sad, and I I sat there and watched it. Give me a yes or no in the chat if you saw the highlights, if you heard anything about the fight, if you saw how that all went down. Give me a yes or no in the chat if you caught any of that. It was a trip. It was really a trip, and I was very surprised. Who else was surprised? Give me a yes or no if you were surprised that the white boy whooped up on Nate Robinson like that. I was very surprised. I didn't think Jake Paul had it in him, and apparently he does, and apparently he did that, and Nate Robinson got knocked out so bad that I thought the dude was. I mean, I was worried about him. I don't know about y'all, but I looked at him. I said, "Man, y'all need to call the paramedics. This dude is he's in trouble. he might need a doctor." Now I don't know. I was wondering if this guy, if this Jake Paul guy has boxing experience. That's what I'm thinking. I believe that he has fought before. It almost looked like he's actually been in the ring. He didn't seem to me like somebody who, just jumped out there and practiced, for a couple of days. Like I almost felt like he was a dude that had really been working out. Let me see. Jake's been training for 3 years and 3 months. Are you serious? Really? Yeah. Well, and I wonder. I mean, here's the thing, right? Like, what if he was in the Golden Gloves or something like that when he was younger? There's a lot of people out here that used to fight. Like I know Willie D. Who's a friend of mine. He's from the ghetto. He used to be in the Ghetto Boys. He's a good dude. Willie D. Actually, I didn't know he was actually the Golden Gloves champion for the state of Texas, right? So my thought is, if Willie and I were going to fight in a charity exhibition match, I could train really hard for 2 or 3 weeks, maybe even 3 or 4 months, but I probably wouldn't win that fight. Like Willie D would probably like I would be dead on the floor, I'm sure. So if I'm gonna fight Willie, it wouldn't be like glove to glove. We had to fight some other way. Maybe I have to fight him with my brain or something, but because I got a pretty good brain, but I ain't never boxed before. So I felt like that was really interesting to watch, and it was kind of sad. As a black man, I was a little bit kind of like, just like, oh, ouch, ooh, damn, But then also it's interesting too. I almost feel, give me a yes or no if you felt this, but it almost seemed like people felt that this fight was some kind of referendum on race. Like he's like the great white hope now. Like Jake Paul. Oh my God, look at this white guy took down this black guy, and the black guy has tattoos and stuff and looks like a tough dude, and he whooped his ass in public or whatever. I think that's the interesting thing too. Like I feel like a lot of people, like if these were two black guys fighting, and that's how boxing works, right? Like in boxing, when they market fights, they use racial tension as a way to market their fights, right? So if they find a white boy who is the great white hope, then that's pretty much an ATM machine, right? Like that, they know that they're gonna get crazy paid by basically putting that white dude up against the best black talent, or actually not even the best black talent. They'll put him up against mediocre black talent and let him win a few fights so they can make some money. So here's what's interesting, right? So on one hand, first of all, a lot of the people that are excited about Jake Paul beating Nate Robinson, I mean, this is not any sort of referendum on white supremacy, because we probably have like 100,000 black dudes that could whoop his ass tomorrow. I don't know. Give me a yes or no if you agree with that. Like I pretty much am sure that there are 50,000, 100,000 brothers that could go in the ring with Jake Paul and like literally beat him into a coma. So no, the white supremacy does not win in this particular circumstance. But also, I think that it's interesting. I was really surprised. I'd be really curious to hear what Nate has to say as to why he lost the fight. I assume the excuses will be coming soon. A lot of people have said that it's fake, because I guess some people are in denial that a white boy could actually beat a black dude, especially a guy like a great athlete like Nate Robinson. But you know what? Maybe he wasn't prepared. Maybe Nate took it too lightly. Maybe he thought it was going to be an easy win and didn't practice. I don't know. But I personally, I didn't feel like it was fake. I felt like it was very real. But then again, I'd be curious to know what you guys think. Give me a yes or no. Do you think the fight was fake? Actually, type fake or real. Who thinks it's fake and who thinks it's real? Type fake or real in the chat. Tell me what you think. I'm gonna vote real. I think it was real. But that's okay. We can disagree. That's what we do here. It's okay to disagree on this platform. Let me see here. Okay, I see real. Nate isn't a boxer. Obviously not. Okay, Zeus says fake. AD Coop says real. Yeah. I feel like it's real. I don't. I'm sorry. I know that some other people say that it's fake, and I respect that, right? Like I think Tariq Nasheed felt like it was really fake. And maybe it was. I mean, maybe because you can make big money on the rematch now, right? Like if you have the rematch, I mean, that rematch would be worth millions of dollars, right? People would pay money to see that. But I'm gonna tell you, I watched it, and Alicia and I watched it closely, and I was looking for any sign of fakeness. And what I saw, I didn't see fakeness. You know what I saw? I saw incompetence. I saw a lack of experience. I saw a guy who is such a great athlete. Now, if you know the history of Nate Robinson was a superstar football player at the University of Washington, if I'm not mistaken. He was also a star basketball player at Washington. He also played for the New York Knicks. And to be that short, he was a real key factor on their teams. Like he was a really good NBA player, especially for his height. If he had been like 6'7", 6'8", he would have dominated basketball. That's why it's dangerous. I saw another video the other day about a kid that was like the best 11-year-old basketball player in the world, and they were talking about how great he was going to be one day. But they didn't factor in the fact that most people don't grow. Most men don't grow to over 6 feet tall, right? So the kid grows, he gets to his freshman year of high school, he's 5'2". By the time he graduates, he's 5'8", and he gets to college and he grows to 5'10". And so anybody like preparing your kid to be a basketball player, make sure they have the genetics where they're actually going to grow. I don't know if you guys know this, but Michael Jordan's brother, Larry, used to whoop his ass in basketball. His brother, Larry, was better than him when they were both short. But then Michael got lucky. Michael had a growth spurt and grew to be 6'6", 6'7", whatever his height was. Larry stayed 5'9", 5'10". So Larry couldn't beat Michael anymore. And that's why Michael went on to become the great player that he was. If Michael had stayed short and Larry had grown, then y'all be talking about Larry Jordan. The Air Jordan brand will be the Larry Jordan brand, not the Michael Jordan brand. And he will be telling you these stories about his brother Michael, who used to beat him when he was short. So that's why I think it's really crazy when you have all these parents that really swear that their child's going to be like the next great basketball player or whatever. It's such a waste of time, not just because most guys don't make any money playing basketball, but it's also a waste of time because the kids don't grow. If you watch that movie Hoop Dreams, anybody seen that movie Hoop Dreams? In the movie Hoop Dreams, the kid was like all into basketball. I'm going to go to the NBA. His parents were all behind him and all that stuff. But he grew to be like 6 foot or whatever. He was like short. He couldn't, there's 1,000 guys, not 1,000. There's probably 1 million, 2 million guys that are 6 feet tall that can play basketball. A big part of becoming an NBA athlete is actually winning the genetic lottery. Right, you got to win the genetic lottery where you're part of that 1% of the population or less that grows to be 6'6", 6'7", 6'8". So Nate Robinson was extraordinary as an athlete because he was one of the guys who actually made it to the NBA and did well in the NBA without winning the genetic lottery. He wasn't like he's the same height as me. But this guy, I mean, he also won the slam. I think he won the slam dunk contest or got second place or something like that. Like he's really impressive. So when I saw those two were fighting, honestly, I would put my money on Nate. I'm like, okay, you got this YouTube dork against a guy who is one of the best athletes in the history of the NBA. Of course the brother's gonna win, right? So when I saw the white boy whoop his ass, what I saw was another thing about fighting, and this actually is a great metaphor for life. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I felt like he just had the skill, right? Because you saw Nate was like charging at him, and I'm not a boxing expert, but that didn't seem right. I was like, look at him, Alicia. He's like running at him, and he's like trying to street fight, and trying to do a Kimbo Slice type thing. And if you remember, Kimbo Slice was a great fighter too. But when Kimbo Slice got around guys that had skill, Kimbo Slice wasn't Kimbo Slice no more. Right? When he was street brawling, oh, he would kill you in a street brawl. But when you get him against guys that have technique, the technique guys would take him down every time. So I felt like it was like technique against raw athleticism, and technique will usually win. And it's interesting. Like, me, I always see metaphors for life. And I think that's really true for a lot of stuff. Like I talk a lot of times, you guys hear me talk about maybe things like business and economics. And I can tell you, I know dumb people that have lots of skill who do much better than smart people who just go off of like raw, luck or hard work and everything else. No, it's about knowing how to work smart. In fact, actually, if you even think about it in terms of wealth, like most of the richest people I know don't work 40 hours a week. Most of the richest people I know, or if they are working 40 hours a week, they're making like $10,000 an hour or $5,000 an hour, some ridiculous amount of money, because they're putting their money they're putting their energy into the right places. Like, for example, Elon Musk is worth $157 billion. Now, Elon Musk, if he were in a family that had no vision, like he didn't want to be an entrepreneur, he would have been working just as hard as an employee for some company, making maybe $200,000 a year. But now he probably makes, $200,000 an hour. Or, I think this past year, I think he made $300 million a day, right? And you don't get that. You don't make $300 million a day by working hard, by just hustling, right? Hustle is part of it, but you got to have the intellect to know how to hustle in the right direction. So when I saw that fight, that's what I saw. I saw skill defeating raw athleticism. I think if they both just fought raw, like if both of them just went out there and just had a street brawl, I still believe that Nate would win a street brawl, right? But I believe that this kid, what's his name? Jake Paul, whatever the hell his name is, I believe that he won because somebody prepared him, and he was probably prepared well in advance. And he just knew, he knew how to fight based on what Nate was doing. Like Nate's in there like, come get you. I'm going to take you out because I'm a thug, and Jake is like sitting back and like, counter punching him. Like you notice a lot of times when he knocked him down, it was on a counter punch, basically where he was taking, I felt, again, I'm not a boxing analyst, so take all this with a grain of salt, seriously. But I saw Nate charging him, and most of the time, if you go watch the video, when Jake Paul knocked his ass out, it was always usually on a counter punch. Like Nate would come in like, and then Jake would back up, pop. Next thing you know, Nate's on the ground. And then that last time was terrible. That last time was really sad to watch because, I was like, man, you better not take too many hits to the head like that. That can, you'll be forgetting what your children's names are after a while, man. Like you won't remember where you live. Like you can't do that. Like that stuff really does cause brain damage. So I think that they're probably going to, from a business standpoint, I predict a rematch. I think they're going to hype up the rematch or whatever, because they're going to play off the racial tension that exists in America. A lot of people are making the fight out to be more than what it is. It was just a fight between two dudes. One had more skill than the other. It is not a referendum on race. It is not black excellence against white supremacy. Nate Robinson is a great guy, a great athlete, not a great fighter. Jake Paul has a great YouTube channel who, and he happens to be a better fighter than Nate Robinson. But these are not guys who are at the highest level of boxing. I think when you go to the highest level of boxing, I'm sorry, but the brothers got that. Really, the brothers, I believe black men, foundational black American men, tell me if you agree, I believe foundational black American men, we have something in our DNA where when you take the best of us against the best of everybody else, we dominate. And it's not just in physical sports. Like go watch an NFL game. I mean, you'll see two teams. You see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against, the Seattle Seahawks, and the people controlling the games on both sides are all black. It might even be like a really great team against a really bad, the University of Alabama against the University of New Mexico. So you got the best black athletes in the country against some of the worst college level black athletes in the country. So Alabama's kicking New Mexico's ass, but it's all black men. Like even our inferior black men are superior to most people because we've got things in our DNA that other people don't have. I'm sorry. Remember, we're the descendants of the people who survived the slave dungeons. We survived the Middle Passage. We survived 250 years of the most brutal slavery in the history of mankind. They used to breed slaves. They did. Nobody talks about that, but they did. They take the biggest, strongest bucks and get the biggest, strongest women, and they make them make babies. I mean, they did terrible things to black people. This is why the reparations fight is a no-brainer. There's no debate on reparations, by the way. like they owe us reparations for this. But what actually ends up occurring is because that which doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and it didn't kill us. So we are the closest living thing to a superhero in existence. We are the closest thing on earth to superheroes. I'm talking about foundational Black Americans. I love Africa. Amazing people in Africa, but Africans ain't got what we got. We got something special in our DNA, and it shows. It shows in our intellect. It also shows in our sports. And because it's not just the physical sports that we dominate, basketball and football, but also if you look at Tiger Woods, when Tiger Woods went out and will play in a golf tournament, he was up against impossible odds. It would be him against 300 white boys, and he would dominate all the white boys and win like half of his tournaments. I think in 2000, he won almost half. It was some crazy, ridiculous. He's breaking records that were 200 years old, right? Because he had this really strong father who was a veteran. By the way, shout out to the veterans. I think that there's something about a soldier's mentality that helps you become your absolute best. And he prepared him for war. He prepared him for psychological warfare, and Tiger won. You go to tennis. Look at Serena and Venus. They dominated. It wasn't like there was 1,000 black girls going into tennis at the same time. It's like two, and they're sisters, and both of them become world champions. Like, there is something significant about us as black people. So I don't see this as being more than what it is. I saw Nate Robinson. He wasn't the best representative of the black community. If you want to make it into a race thing, there are probably 100,000 brothers out here that could whoop Jake Paul's butt. But I do think that from a business standpoint, they're going to make this into a white versus black thing. They're going to subtly play on that, and they're going to make millions of dollars off this. I don't think it was fake, though. I really cannot imagine, or if it was fake, I would just be really curious to know how much money a brother would have to receive in order to take an ass whooping like that in public. I don't really think, I just don't know. I don't know. I just can't. There's no amount of money you could offer me that would have me going out there looking like that. The whole world is memeing you the next day. It was sad, man. It was really sad. So anyway, that was it. Those are my thoughts on that Jake Paul, Nate Robinson thing. I thought it was entertaining to watch. I find it interesting they're doing these exhibition matches now. I guess during COVID or whatever. I kept wondering, like, I don't know. I don't know. I kept wondering, like, how do they plan all this? Do they have people in the arena? Like, how do they do that stuff? But then again, I think the world needs to move on beyond COVID. Like, I don't like this whole idea of sitting inside and doing nothing for the next 20 years, man. To hell with that. And then taking some vaccine that hasn't been fully tested over something where you got a 99.9% survival rate. Like, 99.9% of us will not die from this. But they want 99. They want all of us taking the vaccine. Man, are you kidding me? Like, I don't even get that. Vaccines are not safe. Like, vaccines can harm you if they're not tested properly. So I'm not doing all that. So I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you the truth. This is my perspective on this. Logic, it defies logic to me. None of it just makes sense. It just doesn't. So anyway, do me a favor, if you could, please hit the thumbs up button. Hit the thumbs up, share, and subscribe button. Also, if you want to get text alerts when we go live, text the word voice to 31996. And also, if you want to participate, we start our Black Wealth Bootcamp on January 7th. And the Black Wealth Bootcamp is a great program, very popular program. We haven't done it for 5 years, but it's very popular. And it's all about financial security for your family, breaking down everything from ways to basically how to get off the corporate plantation, how to reduce your economic dependence on the corporate plantation. So you can, whether you want to start a business or you just want to be financially secure, or you want to just know what that even looks like. You want to know where to put your assets, things like that. So it's a 6-week masterclass. We're doing 72% off this week. Today is the last day. So the URL's right there on the screen. It's blackwealthbootcamp.com. That's blackwealthbootcamp.com, because you guys know my PhD's in finance. But the reason I love to talk about things happening in the black community is because I'm not a finance professor who happens to be black. I am a black man who happens to be a finance professor. So blackness always comes first. Hashtag B1 in the chat if you agree with me. I think the black community needs to be first. All right, guys. So I'm out of here. You guys take care. Have a great day. And I will see you soon. Be good. Peace.